Welcome back to Operation Evil. This is episode 144, A Severe Pattern of Neglect, the death of 18-month-old Ruby Murray. I'm your host, Nyoka, and before we jump into this case, I want to say I hope you're having a happy new year, and I'm glad you're back and listening to some more cases this year, and thank you for your patience on our break. And also, thanks for any new listeners that we've gotten. I appreciate it. I do want to give a warning to this episode. It contains disturbing content, including child abuse. And as always, listener discretion is advised. And I can't say this word enough for this episode. Allegedly. All of this is alleged. This is currently still ongoing. And this story is so horrific that until we have everything out there and there's a verdict and things are sealed and written in stone, alleged, okay? I just want to make that clear. So thank you for joining me. Let's hop right on in. Ruby Marie Murray came into this world on September 24th, 2023. Her parents, Carrie and Mitchell Murray, were supposed to care for her, love her, protect her, give her a beautiful life. Instead, she would pass away at only 18 months old on March 19th, 2025. Ruby Murray's death was first reported by her mother, Carrie, on March 19th, 2025. Carrie found her daughter deceased in her crib and called 911 to report her child as beyond help. And she knew this because she was a registered nurse. According to a probable cause affidavit, when paramedics arrived at the Murray's home, it appeared as though rigor mortis had already set in. After over 8 months of investigating, Ruby's death revealed an alleged severe pattern of neglect prior to her death. Doctors determined that the child died of dehydration and malnutrition, and she only weighed 17 pounds at the time of her death. Using baby monitors and surveillance cameras, detectives learned what really happened in the 4 days leading up to Ruby's death. According to CCSO's press release, during those 4 days, the child remained in her crib for all but 6 hours and 15 minutes and was in the presence of another human for only a total of 49 minutes and 15 seconds and only had her diaper changed 6 times during those 96 hours. First responders also noted the room as being warmer than the rest of the house and discovered several sippy cups and a large amount of pieces of Eggo-style waffles in the child's crib. Ruby was also wearing long-sleeve footed pajamas. Would you like to know why her room was so much warmer? Well, they had a space heater running in there. Ruby's body temperature was only 83 degrees, putting her at risk of hypothermia. In interviews, the Murrays said they were not table people, referencing eating, and the child did not like people to feed her, resulting in continuous decisions to keep giving her food in her crib. Quote, "The interior of the crib was very dirty with old pieces of food," the affidavit states. "Underneath the mattress was trash, wrappers, and more waffle particles," end quote. Ruby's father, Mitchell, also described what he called crib days, which was when Ruby would mainly be left in her crib for the entire day. He said this would happen 2 or 3 times a week, as he worked from home, though he also admitted his job didn't need his full attention at all times, and he would also play a lot of video games. The parents also told investigators that when she was in the crib, they would play loud music, probably to drown out her cries. I mean, they didn't say that part, but that's probably what it was. Ruby's medical records showed a consistent below average weight and recommendations to improve her nutritional intake. Though her weight did increase between her 12-month checkup and 2 follow-up appointments, the child's weight decreased by the time of her death. According to the affidavit, her weight was in the 5th percentile of children her age. The parent allegedly said that they would feed her about 3 times a day with snacks in between, and she had only eaten baby food once or twice. They would also give her water in between feedings. Quote, "The findings of the medical examiner confirmed that the infant died due to complications arising from malnutrition and dehydration," the release states. Based on these facts and medical findings, Mitchell and Carrie Murray were taken into custody, end quote. When Mitchell spoke to investigators, he became emotional, admitting the child was not old enough to provide for herself and that you're supposed to spend as much time on her as you do on yourself. On the other hand, when police interviewed Carrie, she seemed indifferent and told investigators that her biggest guess is that her daughter died from SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome, although she acknowledged that Ruby was older than typical for Sid's death, said police. She reportedly suggested that it was her time and felt no guilt over this. She also admitted to not viewing the baby monitor app for months. When asked about her routine with their 4-year-old son, she allegedly told investigators she was unsure, including when he woke up in the morning. During a second interview, allegedly, Carrie admitted that she and Mitchell interacted with Ruby even less during the previous fall, and that they bathed her about once a week. So let me break down Ruby's life leading up to her death. I gave you a summary, but let's go through each day's activities. Investigators found that during 8 hours on March 14th, Carrie and Mitchell Murray had 36 minutes of interaction with Ruby in her bedroom, gave her food once, and changed her diaper once. On March 15th, Ruby was out of her crib for just under 90 minutes the entire day, investigators say. On March 16th, there was footage of the entire day. Review of that footage showed Ruby was allowed out of the crib for 4 hours and 44 minutes. The majority of that time, Ruby was left alone on her bedroom floor. The total interaction Carrie, Mitchell, and their son had with Ruby on March 16th was 9 minutes and 42 seconds. On March 17th, Ruby was out of her crib for about 5 minutes for the entire day for 2 diaper changes. Investigators say Ruby was never taken out of her crib on March 18th. The total interaction Carrie, Mitchell, and their son had with Ruby on March 18th was 49 seconds. Her diaper was not changed on March 18th, according to the arrest report. Detectives who watched all 4 days of the video surveillance footage also noted that Ruby did not exhibit normal sleeping patterns for a child and did not seem to differentiate night from day. It was also observed that there was loud rock pop music played through the Amazon Alexa in Ruby's room that appeared to interfere with her ability to sleep at times, the affidavit says. The Murrays are now facing charges related to homicide and child abuse. Mitchell Murray and his wife, Carrie Murray, both 31 years old, were both booked into the Cache County Jail on Wednesday on charges of first-degree felony aggravated murder and second-degree felony aggravated child abuse. I found little Ruby's obituary, and I'm going to read it to you word for word and see what you think of it. Ruby Marie Murray, a bright and cherished angel, passed away on March 19th, 2025, in Nibley, Utah, just short of a tender age of 18 months. She leaves behind a legacy of joy and love, forever etched in the hearts of family and friends. Ruby was born on September 24th, 2023, to her beloved parents, Carrie Marie Stacy and Mitchell Chestnut Murray, and brought immeasurable happiness to their lives. She was a sweet and curious little one whose laughter and smile lit up every room. She loved When September Ends by Green Day as her lullaby and loved to dance to any music, especially Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco. When she would escape, she could be found in her closet playing with her mom's shoelaces, dragging them behind her. Ruby loved her soft blankets, her unicorn rattle, and her little Stanley Cup toy and cuddles from her daddy. In Ruby's short life, she made many adventures. She went to Disneyland and in vitro and came out a rosy-cheeked princess, starting her life 10 days early, and went on a cruise to Ensenada and Cabo San Lucas. She had fun playing in Bear Lake as her dad pushed her around on an inflatable raft. She loved the Christmas lights and all of the sea creatures at the aquarium. Ruby adored Lucas, her brother, and would follow him everywhere. As fast as he could build a tower, she was there to take it down. Ruby had such a serious look on her face, but when she smiled, she would light up the room, especially when Daddy came to get her. Ruby is survived by her parents, Carrie and Mitchell Murray, her brother Lucas, and grandparents Michael and Janine Stacy, Ryan and Julia Murray, great-grandparents Vicki Murray and Judy Howe, and many aunts and uncles and cousins. What do you think life was like for little Ruby? Before her last breath, what do you think her thoughts and feelings were? Did she feel alone, miss her parents, craved attention? Do you think she felt tortured and afraid? Do you think if she survived the situation, would she have a long-lasting trauma because of her difficulties in life? I don't know, but I'd love to hear your thoughts if you have them. Let's talk a little bit about statistics. According to 2024 data collected by the Utah Department of Child and Family Services, the department received more than 48,000 reports of abuse or neglect, from which more than 8,700 victims were confirmed. DCFS data also showed that more than 70% of the alleged perpetrators were the victim's parents, while only 16% were other relatives. If you suspect child abuse or neglect, please call the Division of Child and Family Services 24-hour intake line at 1-855-323-3237. And that's all we know for now. We're going to have to keep an eye on this and see what happens. This will do it for today's episode. If you can't get enough of Operation Evil, consider supporting the podcast by joining Patreon or Operation Evil Plus on Buzzsprout. When you join, not only will you have access to exclusive bonus episodes, but you will also get a shout out. Operation Evil currently has 50 exclusive bonus episodes ready for you to binge on. The links to join can always be found in our show notes. If you can't join our Patreon or Operation Evil Plus on Buzzsprout, consider supporting us for free by rating our show, telling a friend about the podcast, or like or share the Facebook page. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I'll be back next time with a brand new episode. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening.
The parents of a Cache Valley toddler accused in her death, as investigators describe a staggering case of neglect.
News Specialist Mike Anderson live for us right now on how technology already in that home actually helped with the investigation. Mike?
Yeah, Mike and Dini, mom and dad, both 31 years old, are being held here at the Cache County Jail without bail after suspicion of aggravated abuse and aggravated murder. And investigators said they were able to see what happened to their 18-month-old daughter with the help of days of recordings from a nanny camera. Deputies say what happened inside this Nibley home may be difficult to believe.
I think this is hard for a lot of people. I know a lot of guys are going to ask why, and that's an answer that I don't think any of us have.
Lieutenant Michael Sean Barchi says that's in part because the parents, Mitchell and Carrie Murray, seem to believe it was completely normal, despite what he says was malnutrition and dehydration that led to their toddler's death last March.
So that kid was regularly spent time in the crib, zipped up. Someone would show up, give him a Eggo waffle, some peanut butter off it, and a sippy cup is the typical meal. And according to the interviews based on the parents, this was a normal pattern of life.
Investigators say Ruby Murray had less than 1 hour total contact with another human in the whole last 4 days of her life. The interior of the crib was described as very dirty, with old pieces of food.
They had 6 hours out of the crib where a parent had come in, check a diaper, put them on the ground in the same room, and leave them in that room. They never left the room in 4 days.
Detectives say Mitchell Murray described crib days where Ruby remained in the crib all day while he worked from home. Investigators also say Carrie was a nurse at Logan Regional Hospital where she cared for others, providing medicine, getting them fed and showered. But when asked about her daughter's death, responded that it was her time, I guess, and I feel no guilt over this.
They were cooperative in their investigation. Again, what they relayed to us is that they felt this was an appropriate way to raise a child.
And Intermountain Healthcare, by the way, tells us that as soon as they learned of the possible charges that Carrie Murray was put on suspended. And the couple has also a 5-year-old child that is now in the custody of state DCFS. Back to you.
Yeah.